Okay, so you want to own a cat. Adopt the kitten, fill the bowl, let it do its own thing, enjoy the low maintenance company. That's the plan in your head, and it's not a crazy plan. Cats have a reputation as the independent, budget friendly pet, the one that basically takes care of itself. Here's the problem: a cat is not a low maintenance pet. It is a 15-year subscription with a silent alarm, one that gives you almost no warning before something expensive goes wrong. By the end of this, you'll never look at a cat the same way, and you'll know exactly which kind of owner survives owning one. Let's start with what it actually costs to get in. The purchase price is the number that makes cats look like the budget pet. A shelter adoption runs $50 to $150. A purebred kitten from a reputable breeder runs $800 to $2,500. A specialty breed, Sphynx, Maine Coon, Bengal, can run $1,500 to $5,000. Most people stop their research right there, at the number that made cats look cheap in the first place. That's the number that gets shared. It's also the number that's designed to get shared, because everything after it is where the business actually lives. First, setup costs. Litter box, scratching post, carrier, first vaccinations, spay or neuter surgery. Call it $300 to $800 before the cat has used the litter box a single week. Second, routine veterinary care. Annual checkups, vaccinations, parasite prevention. $200 to $500 a year for a healthy cat, every year, whether anything looks wrong or not. Third, food and litter. Quality food and litter combined run $300 to $700 a year, depending on the cat's size and diet needs. And here's the first trap nobody budgets for: dental and kidney disease. Cats are structurally prone to dental disease and chronic kidney issues as they age, and both are expensive precisely because cats hide symptoms until the problem is advanced. Add it up, and a healthy, uncomplicated cat costs $850 to $2,000 in year one alone, and we haven't talked about a single emergency yet. So what did you actually buy? Not the low-maintenance pet the reputation promised. What you bought is closer to a silent alarm system with a 15-year contract, one that gives almost no early warning before it goes off. Think of it less like a low-effort companion and more like owning a small, self-sufficient machine that hides its own warning lights until the check engine light is already flashing red. That's not an easy pet. That's a quiet, ticking clock you agreed to host. Now let's follow the money that moves every single month, because this is where the real business hides. Food and litter, $300 to $700 a year. The steady baseline, quiet and easy to overlook precisely because it's so small. Veterinary care. Routine visits run $200 to $500 a year, but dental cleanings under anesthesia, often required by age 5 or 6, run $500 to $1,500 per procedure. And kidney disease management in older cats can mean $100 to $300 a month in prescription food and medication for the rest of the cat's life. And here's the mechanism inversion nobody expects. The cat is the afterthought. The real business is the veterinary diagnostics and prescription diet industry built specifically around aging cats. Blood work panels, specialty renal food, dental specialists. They earn steady, predictable revenue precisely because cats age into these conditions reliably. You are the customer of an entire adjacent industry, and the cat is simply the reason it exists. That's the part nobody budgets for. So the ongoing costs land somewhere between $500 and $1,200 a year for a young, healthy cat, climbing to $1,500 to $3,000 a year once the cat reaches its senior years, for a lifespan that runs 13 to 18 years. Run that forward and you're looking at $12,000 to $25,000 over the cat's lifetime, before a single emergency. And the fragility here is specifically backloaded. More than half of cats over age 10 develop chronic kidney disease, a condition that's manageable, but never cured and never cheap. Just when the math starts to feel manageable, one senior year diagnosis turns a modest monthly budget into a permanent new line item that never goes away. In April of 2021, a woman named Elena Marsh, running a small Sphynx cattery outside Denver, Colorado, had done almost everything right. She'd started in 2016 with 2 breeding queens, screened them for the breed's known heart condition, and built a loyal client base of buyers willing to pay a premium for health-tested kittens. Cat fancier forums praised her in 2019 for setting the standard on cardiac screening in the breed. By 2020, she had 5 breeding cats and a plan: expand into a small, licensed cattery with dedicated screening equipment on site. The problem wasn't the cats. The problem was the math. Sphynx cats carry an elevated risk of hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, a heart condition that requires annual echocardiogram screening on every breeding animal. $300 to $500 per cat per year for cats that may otherwise look completely healthy. Marsh had budgeted for routine annual screenings across 5 cats. In 2021, 2 of her queens showed early warning signs requiring quarterly monitoring instead of annual. Combined cardiac monitoring costs for the year climbed past $9,000. Her kitten sales, deliberately limited to protect the breeding line's health, brought in just under $14,000, a margin thinner than it looked once monitoring costs were subtracted. She'd financed a cardiologist referral and specialized equipment lease with a small business loan, believing the next litter's sales would cover the gap. In September 2021, one queen's condition progressed to the point where her cardiologist recommended retirement from breeding entirely, with ongoing medication costs of $150 a month indefinitely. She retired the queen as a pet, reduced her breeding program to 2 cats, and closed the on-site screening expansion in October 2021. The answer is not personal incompetence. The answer is structural. Here's the structural mechanism that took her down, and it's the same one waiting for almost every small-scale breeder of a genetically predisposed breed. Revenue from kitten sales is capped by how many litters a small, health-conscious operation can responsibly produce, a number that stays low by design. But screening costs are not capped in the same way. They scale with the number of breeding animals and the frequency monitoring requires, and that frequency can double or triple overnight based on a single test result. Biology, not mismanagement. She wasn't running a business with a bad year. She was running a business whose monitoring costs were always one test result away from doubling. It was just a question of when, not if. So who actually makes money breeding and owning cats long term? Almost nobody on kitten sales alone. But the ones who do share one counterintuitive trait. They stop treating any single cat's health outcome as make or break. Established catteries that survive long-term diversify into related revenue. Boarding, grooming services, judging fees at cat shows. So one cat's cardiac screening bill doesn't threaten the whole operation. Veterinary-adjacent cat businesses, specialty boarding, cat cafes, survive because their revenue comes from a fee-for-service structure entirely disconnected from any individual animal's medical history. The pattern? Nobody profits from a single cat's existence alone. The owners and breeders who last are the ones who diversify their income away from any one animal's health outcome, so a single bad test result doesn't end the operation. Let's simulate it. Same cat, same household, same owner. 2 different years. The good year. Food and litter run $500. Routine vet care, 1 annual checkup plus preventatives, comes in at $350. No dental work needed this year, no emergencies. Total spend, roughly $850. Net cost for the year, about $850 out of pocket. Less than a single month of rent in most cities, recurring annually for the life of the cat. Now, the bad year. Same fixed costs. Food, litter, routine checkup, $850. Then blood work reveals early kidney disease, requiring a specialist consult and prescription renal food. $600 in the first month alone. A dental cleaning under anesthesia, deferred once already, can no longer wait. $1,100. Total spend, $2,550 in year 1 of diagnosis alone, plus $100 to $300 a month in ongoing management for the rest of the cat's life. That is a used laptop every single year for a condition that never actually resolves. Except you didn't choose the model, the cat's kidneys did, on a schedule nobody can predict. So can you own a cat? Yes, with conditions. If you budget $1,500 to $2,500 a year once your cat reaches its senior years, rather than assuming the young cat baseline holds forever, and you get blood work done annually so problems surface early rather than late, cat ownership remains one of the more manageable animal ownership decisions on this channel. And here's the return that never makes it onto a spreadsheet. Cat owners show measurably lower rates of reported anxiety symptoms, and studies have linked cat ownership to a meaningfully reduced risk of fatal cardiovascular events. One of the only pets with data suggesting it might, in some small way, help you live longer, not just feel better. That's the trade you're actually making. A cost curve that quietly steepens with age, for a companion that asks for almost nothing and, it turns out, may be doing more for you than you're doing for it. If your plan assumes the cat's low-key reputation means low-key costs forever, the math is not on your side. It was never on your side. It wasn't on Elena Marsh's side either, and she did almost everything right. You didn't bring home the easy pet. You brought home a quiet, self-sufficient machine that keeps its own secrets, and somehow, most owners would still tell you it was worth it.